So what I'd like to do now is, Mark, if you can get yourself set up with Patrice, I'll just get your presentation up here. Oh, that's a bad sound. The basic physical problem of the 10 base T cable falling out.
There we go.
That's okay. You hear me?
Patrice, can you hear us?
Yes. Perfect. And you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. So, can you see me? We've got that angled correctly. There you go. That's Patrice. So, my name's Mark from OpenCloud. I'm going to spend a few minutes introducing the topic, and then Patrice will actually take over and deliver what will be most of the most interesting content, I'm sure. So I'm head of marketing at OpenCloud. OpenCloud provide infrastructure for network operators, and what Patrice shows you will be based on a solution using our products. So the topic is really about just looking at APIs and app developers through perhaps a different lens, or extending the lens. What we hear a lot about, of course, is exposing APIs for publicly, long-tail developers, and the setup typically consists of having an API engine with some kind of southbound connection into the network, network integration connectors. The top layer, the gateway functionality, providing the policing and the authorization and the management of the connections from the outside applications. In any system, particularly when you're dealing with conservative network operators, there's a boundary, a risk boundary, where things within the boundary are treated as safe and known entities, and beyond that, they're public. They need some management. Within this model, of course, the risk boundary is kind of at the point that the APIs are exposed and published. Everything within that is controlled by the operator or their trusted vendors. Beyond that, the world is free to do with them what the world wants. An issue with this, and it's not a complete issue, but a potential disadvantage is, of course, to manage that risk, the functionality offered and exposed through APIs is restricted. You don't want everyone having direct access to your charging platforms. You don't want everyone having direct access to all the fields in the signaling protocols going on in your networks. A lot can be done with those fields, but actually to produce an API that you're happy to publicly expose means that it needs some control and restriction. What OpenCloud does is actually provide solutions for in-network application development. We have the network connectors. We have an open application server environment on which the network APIs with their full functionality can be exposed. And so you can do very, very sophisticated things because the application itself is operating within the network, within the risk boundary. Of course, to do that, again, there has to be some way of managing the risk, and this is process. And I know that Alan's often mentioned process as being one of the three fundamental mechanisms through which change will occur. I think people and technology, the other two. Thank you, Alan. So in this regard, risk is managed through approvals processes, much like it is today. It's business as usual for network operators wanting to bring things into their network within the risk boundary. So processes can be used before applications are deployed. The solution, of course, is strong. One of our strengths is that we connect to a whole range of network environments, which means that actually, again, its API exposure has got this element of abstraction, but it means that single applications can operate across the whole range of network access technologies. And this model allows there to be really two other groups of API developers. One is third-party application developers and those offering development services and pre-built applications. And again, those are, when they're deployed into the network, there's a process of approving those. And of course, our network operator customers, by and large, have their own internal development teams. And those teams can be used to, as well as create new services, end-user services, to actually solve network problems as networks evolve and grow themselves. There are issues that need resolving. And through the richness of the APIs that we expose within the network, a lot of those problems can be resolved by our customers' own development teams or their third parties, as shown. So there's kind of the three levels of development. I'm now going to hand over to Patrice, who works at Bouygues Telecom. Patrice and his team have been using these APIs internally to create end-user services, and I'm going to let Patrice now talk through the process that he went through and his learning and his experience of developing a new end-user service. So Patrice, it's over to you.
Okay, do you hear me very well, or it's okay?
That's good.
Okay. My name is Patrice. I'm belonging to the core and network team architecture. We are 4 people looking at all the architecture evolution of Bouygues Telecom regarding to core network and service layer. Okay. So the first slide I want to show is that, Mark, will you move the slide or?
Yeah, I've moved the slide
okay,
on.
So what we have done before we thought about service innovation is that we have restructured our architecture basically. And the way we are a fixed mobile operator, so as you see, we have various core networks, an NGN core network, an IMS VoLTE, and also an IMS for fixed network. So what we thought is that we had for a long time a tricky, mix of application within the network without a real definition of structured things. So the things what we decided is that to rethink a little about our service layer. And for that reason, what we have decided that we have said, okay, we keep all the legacy services as they are. Step by step, we will move them as new services if necessary and so on. We keep all our TAS application, the TAS and all the fixed TAS and so on for basically, I would say the MMTEL services, the basic services. There is no way to do evolution on such services. If once we need to evaluate one of the service, we will think about redeveloping it or doing something tricky with a service broker. But what we have added as for doing the innovation is that we have added what we call a service broker layer, which is basically an orchestrator of all the services, because when we develop a new service, we need also to think about the existing one and to do the orchestration between those existing and the new one. And of course, we say when we think about a service broker, we want also a platform which is open to develop new applications. So if you see, we have created basically, I would say, a service network layer with a service broker, which is the main goal of that service broker is basically to do the diagnosticity of our core network toward the application. For that reason, we have also inside the service broker some functionality which are called IMSF and reverse. And the goal of those services is, of those elements, is basically being able to have an application working on NGN and also on IMS. If we speak about IMS, very often it's SIP application. If we speak about NGN, it's mainly IN application. So when we have done this architecture, basically we have built all the foundation for doing new services. And that's really the goal we spent during 2 years. We build our architecture to have really a clear view and being able to do services very quickly and without any interaction with the core network. Basically, the service broker is integrated in the core network. We have done all the integration. Now we speak, in the next step, we will speak about the evolution, with basically building new services. Next step, next slide. So, Basically, what is the goal for us about the service innovation? Okay, the goal for us was earlier when we were doing application. Basically, as operator, it was taking months and months and money for doing an application, and sometimes you discover at the end that the service doesn't make sense, doesn't bring any value, doesn't bring any money. So the idea is basically is that in few months, spending not a lot of money, you must be able to develop an idea and have a beta solution which is proposed to our users. For doing that, we have decided to do basically a restructuring of our organization. So basically the first thing is that the idea doesn't come only from the marketing. We also basically propose a lot of ideas. We meet between the marketing and the engineering very often. We meet once per month, even sometimes once per 2 weeks. And we exchange about all the ideas we have. I mean, we do a study about what the users want. We have contact with our users. We know what they want. Some are sending us money. We exchange by Facebook and so on. And basically for us, from that level, we have a list of candidates of applications that we know that the users want, and basically it could make sense to do an application and try to do a proposal. In that way, what we do is, what we have changed basically is that we have tried to make an analysis very quick. So basically the idea is that, you know, when you speak with your users, they want a lot of things. The idea is to release an application very quickly with a limited set of features. And basically during the study, we do very quickly with the marketing, we establish a list of features that we will do in our beta solution. Okay? And additionally, like Mark was explaining, we are using the service broker to develop the application. There are lots of methods to do. You can do it in Gently, you can do it via API, you can do it via Sleep Servlet or whatever. But from the moment we decide about an application, the first thing is also to decide about if we do it internally, because we have a lot of resources available, or if we do it via partners. And the context is that when we selected OpenCloud, one of the criteria we had in our scope was to have really a rich set of partners that we can use for developing applications. The idea is also to develop in a design to cost level. So basically, if you develop a prototype, you should not spend a lot of money, because if the prototype is correct, then of course you can think about gaining money. But if it's a prototype, if it's something that our users don't want, I think we have not spent too much money for doing such prototype. And the idea also is to do it very quickly and with a short time, because then you can do several applications at the same time. So what was new for us is to decide to release what we call beta release. And because very often, and I would say Bouygues was part of this, is that when we were developing an application, it was immediately put to market, and it was really trying to have the best application really quickly. And from that moment, the goal of doing the beta is also to have a communication and using the social networks to communicate with our users and to communicate with the beta users. Okay? Next slide. So now I will speak about one service that we have done among 6 services that we have released, and there are still 4 or 5 which are in the pipe. Basically, I will speak about a service which is called Video. Video, basically, it's a service which is basically a virtual number allocation to, so basically a user who wants to sell a car and so on can order from Bouygues Telecom a virtual number, and the virtual number is associated with the SIM card. There is no need to change your SIM card. You can have up to today 2, there can be 3, 4, 5 virtual numbers that you can use. So when we decided about video was a scope which was defined in 2013. We had a few marketing engineering. I think we did 2 or 3 meetings together. The team was limited to 5, 6 people maximum. And we have got all those study and all those strange ideas about what was the use of this virtual number. We knew that a lot of users were asking us about such a feature for selling a car. Then we have thought about also, you know, those tricky social networks with the Mythic and so on, where you meet people and so on. Basically, we thought also about people telling us that sometimes they would like to establish something, and they would not like to provide their number because they need such a feature for a short time. And the worst, one of the cases that was popping also quite often is about the professional people that were saying, I would like to have my professional number on the same SIM card, and having dedicated channel for both my virtual number and my normal number. So after 2 months, we say, okay, let's go for a trial. We will see. So again, we put a simplified team in place, putting some, would say, developers and so on inside the team. We define a limited architecture. Still, when we do a beta as an operator in France, we still have a lot of legacy rules to respect. I mean, whatever you can say to government, it's a beta service. We still need to do all those legacy tricking and very annoying things about fraud detection, about legal interception, and so on. So we are studying really a light solution. So we did during 2 months really a study and an architecture for doing such a service. We decided also to develop it via partnership. I mean, we did half of the work, and another company was supporting us for doing the development. So basically, Bouygues Telecom has done all the specification and the integration of the service, and we use a third-party company for doing the development.
Patrice,
we had to select about the Gently versus the SIP service. As you have seen in the previous slide, I mean, our service has to work both for NGN and for. Does it work?
We need to hurry up, Patrice.
Okay. Okay. So mid-September, we released a video trial. We did it only on an Android version. And we did a small advert, I mean, about it, very limited, I mean, not spending a lot of money. The beta service has been done only for 20 kilo users, so 20,000, and after 3 weeks, we got already those 20,000 users that wanted to try it. From that moment, we got a very good experience from the users, and most of the users were ready to pay for it. So basically, next slide, then we decided after 6 months to do for the industrialization. Again, everything is done on a limited budget. We don't want to spend too much money. We still do a limited set of features. We do what was the users were asking for. And we are waiting for users to say us, we would like this above, and we develop it in a very quick time. So basically, I would say the set of services we have released is voice, SMS, and dedicated voicemail. And I can tell you that immediately now we are reaching around 20,000 users. Most of the users are asking us about MMS, and we are planning to develop it in a limited time because we estimate 1 month to do this. The version was available on Android and iOS because if you remove. And then after that, what we do is that we discuss again with all the people, and we establish, I would say, a more clear legal intersection thing, because I guess some of our competitors in France have been complaining about the service, so we got, I would say, tricky requirements from the government about the service, but we will try to fulfill them. That's a fair use of competition between, I would say, operators. And basically, I would say, what we decided is to have, as the users were ready to pay, we estimated a €2 per month subscription for such a service. And I can tell you that from that moment, that I would say the service has been released since 1.5 months. We are far above the 20,000 users, and we have new requirements from the users that we are taking into account. And some of the requirements, I can tell you also that some of the users are ready to pay up to €5 to get it. So it's good. We also follow the customer satisfaction because as it is done in I would say, time to market and cost to design development, it's very important, I would say, to have a very good customer satisfaction and also to consider the wish list again. Okay, next slide. Another service that we have developed, I will not, again, it has been developed, I would say, in 2.5 months. It's what we call a voicemail deposit. So basically, you can depose on the voicemail of the user a message without the need to call him. So because we got a requirement from a lot of users saying, I know that my contact is in a meeting and I would not like to disturb him, but I want to let him a message. That's again a service we have developed for the three operators with an architecture which is quite complex because, I mean, you have to consider that the voicemail of the others is not, it's an IVR, so we had a development of a media server involved inside the call. What I can tell you is that the richness of the platform we have been used allow us to do really, I mean, in the same application, you can have both IAM, SIP, the web services, the map, and everything related. The goal is use the right connectors and do the appropriate coding. Again, this service was totally done by Bouygues because we had the resources, so we have done everything in 2.5 months with a good satisfaction. And we have again 6-7 services in our mind that we would like to develop in the same process. To conclude, basically I would say what we have been doing is that inside our core network, I say we have been using really the service broker both as I would say a broker, so it's really the goal to make our core networks fully agnostic for the application. It's used as an SDP, of course, it's development using gently or SIP servlets, depending on the service by itself. If we see that it's more used on an IMS core network and it has to be used also for fixed services, it will be mainly SIP servlets. Otherwise, gently, when you have developed, I would say 2 or 3 services, it's reuse of all the features that you have developed. We benefit from a strong ecosystem of developers. We use various companies. I mean, since we have developed the services, we have been using several companies like Capgemini, which are software. We have used Almira Labs and other companies. Really, for us, the goal is to develop in a cost to design, a very short time to market, and having easy evolution. I mean, basically, we own the code, whatever it is done by an integrator, we own the code, and meaning that at one moment, if we can do one part of the service done by an integrator or a startup and continue the service ourselves in the next phase. Like I say, basically the integration with all the core network is simplified via features that we have developed and we have improved with the OpenCloud, IMSSF, Scheme, and so on. And of course, we are also looking at, we have added on top of it various gateways and API gateways that we are also looking, and we have done I would say, a prototype. One thing that I would like to do is that in order to develop the service, we have also developed, I would say, a lab. We are not using our core network, we are using a lab because it's an easy process. It's integrated with all our core networks, but at least it allows us to follow a time to market and design to cost model. That's all. I think we have a short video, if it's possible, about the service video that we did ourselves. I mean, it's no professional that have done it, but it was a way to show that at least when you develop a service, you need to do a light, marketing. And so that's a marketing that we did all together with our marketing people. I mean, really doing something on YouTube ourselves.
Thank you, Patrice. We don't have time to watch the video right now, but if anyone would like to see the, so they did an in-house advert for their own thing as well. If anyone would like to see that, I have it on my laptop. I'll be happy to show it. I think we enjoyed some of the challenges of remote presentation there, but thank you, Patrice, for joining us.
So for the sake of time, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Patrice. See you soon.
Thank you. See you next week, next month.